Welcome to a new segment, which is our radio interviews. We've managed to dust off the radio equipment that our predecessor, Mac Calhoun, was hiding in the shed, and with a little bit of electrical jiggling, we've managed to get it to work. Our first guest of the series is none other than State Representative and owner of Crown Jewels, Damien Flippinton. Hi, Damien.
I'm fantastic, mate. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. Bit cold. Had to go and buy a new coat with this recent snowfall, but we're getting there. The Jurassic Park mobile's coming in handy.
Yeah, I left England to get away from the cold weather, and who would have known?
Yeah, it's followed us here, unfortunately, as two expats. But what are you going to do? Move back to England?
Oh no, I love it here.
Yeah, exactly. At least in the summer, you got the nice palm trees, and who can beat Vespucci Beach?
Oh well, I'm from Blackpool, so maybe Blackpool Beach, maybe. I don't.
Mm,
No, probably not. No, let's be honest.
yeah, see, you're showing your true colours now. See, because you're from the north and I'm from the south, which is very similar to those for those in America, to the North and South American divide. It's very similar in the UK. Would you agree?
Pretty similar. Yeah, I'd say so. There's quite a divide.
Yeah. And then there's a place called the Midlands, which I think we can
Doesn't
both
really
agree doesn't
exist.
exist. Exactly, it
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't
exist.
exist. Exactly. It's not real.
Birmingham, that sort of area doesn't exist.
Never heard of
You
it.
you're either north or south. Pick a side.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? Hey, when Vespucci gets the illuminations, maybe they can meet us.
exactly. Right. So the sort of purpose of today's interview is you guys were elected at the end of October for is it the 11th Congress?
I believe we are the 11th Congress. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by my estimation, makes it sort of a week shy of halfway through your term. Um, Bearing that in mind, sort of how has it been as a state rep? Is it everything you sort of thought it would be when you ran back in sort of what, end of September?
You know what? No, it isn't. It's actually genuinely been a bit harder than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean it's bad. That just means it's just a lot more work to go into. There's also a lot more communication. I can't just write a bill. I can just write a bill and I can submit it and it can vote it through. But whether it'll be effective or not depends on how much you talk to people.
Mm. Okay. And on that sort of, it's not been sort of exactly what you thought it would be. We've managed to sort of dig out your policy points. I understand you were running with Zachary Finch at the time.
Yeah, Fitch is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand some of these may not necessarily be solely your policy points, but to sort of go through them, you obviously, I know something that you mentioned previously at state rep meetings as the changes to freedom of information requests that you wanted to sort of get put through, give members of the family a bit more easy access to the family members' details.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that it's not just solely me working on that. I believe Yuri Devlin.
Hmm.
He was working on it previously, and he became the assistant for Jessica Valentino.
Okay.
So I think it felt better that Jessica would be the one to work on it since her assistant already has a bill already knocked up, and they could both just make changes to that very easily without like someone else doing that. So that I've passed that off to her, and she's told me that she does plan to make that. She does plan to submit it. So
Okay.
that's fantastic. That'll be that one. That's not knocked out the park in a way. It's going to be someone else who's working on that. I'm afraid now.
Yeah. Well, at least it's still going through because again, I know it was a sort of
Yeah,
integral part of the pair of yours platform
I
during that election campaign.
exactly. It's better that one of us work on it rather than two of us do two
Mm.
separate bills. That way, then we have to argue about it. It's better that we all can work together to get one done properly.
Yeah.
So
Too
I
too
trust that
many
she'll get that done.
too many cooks in the kitchen, as they say.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Another one that sort of might be of a bit more up your street, as it were, is I know you've been looking at fairness when it comes to sort of drug charges, and you've been looking at putting a cap on the class 1 drug fines. How's that going?
I have that written up.
You have it written up.
I've submitted that to the. Apparently, I submitted it. They seem to think that I didn't. but I have the email right there where I can show that I actually did do that.
Okay, you've
So
caught
I'm
them
gonna
out.
submit it. I'm gonna submit it again to them.
Mm.
And just have them look. Like I no, maybe it wasn't like a. I think they didn't like the format it was sent in, so I'm just gonna send it to them in the format that they want. It's only gonna be for 2 charges, I'm afraid. That's really what I could get away with. It'll be class 1 drug possession with intent to distribute and class 1 drug distribution. There will be two
Okay.
fines on that. It'll basically be 20 times, both capped at 20 times, and then you'll be get a fine after that.
Yeah.
So it's not revolutionary at all, but I do believe it's a step towards a full legalization. I don't
Okay.
think how much you have on you should be. I think it's if you're distributing it, it shouldn't just be based on how much you have on you. We don't do that with alcohol. We don't charge people with how much alcohol they have on them with the intent that because we believe they're going to distribute to people illegally.
Mm.
We just charge them if they did it or not. I
Which
think
in
that's more
yeah.
fairer.
Which in fairness, I believe would be illegal anyway, because I don't believe without an alcohol license you can go around selling vast quantities of alcohol to people in the
Exactly,
street.
exactly. It would be illegal, but we also don't. If I bought like 60 they do it, 1 milliliter is
Mm.
well 1 kilogram is 1 liter. So if I had 2 kilograms of marijuana on me,
Mm.
I go to prison for like 500 months. If I have 2 liters of alcohol on me, that's considered normal.
Yeah. Well, you got sort of raging alcoholics. I mean, it's life choices, isn't it? Who says you can't be a
Exactly.
raging stoner?
Well, here's what I say, man. If you own one thing in this life, it's your body.
Mm. Exactly.
And if you want to fill up with alcohol, you want to smoke loads of marijuana. Hell, it may be even controversial. If you want to abuse any drug, that's your body to use, man. You should have the right to do it. I understand why we don't, but maybe that's just a controversial opinion that I just believe
Yeah.
you should be able to do that.
Very, very, very liberal stance from Representative
Maybe it is, yeah.
Flippinton.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Not
Yeah.
maybe not a realistic stance, but you gotta have some morals somewhere, I guess.
No, exactly. Of course, everyone's got to have political ideals. Talking of political ideals, pair of us being, fellow businessmen, owners of various businesses. I was surprised to see on your sort of one that slipped through the net when you were running was sort of creating a way for worker unions to organise. That's an interesting and sort of slightly controversial point for a business owner, wouldn't you agree?
It kind of is. Unfortunately, it's gonna be one I'm having to drop. I'm afraid. I'm just
Mm,
um with 2 of us together, me and Zach, we probably could have got it done. We probably could have worked at two simple, two different. We could have worked on 2 different bills. I'm just like it's too much to do for one person, I think, and it's
mm.
probably one that I'm gonna have to drop. I'm afraid, and I apologize to the people who did vote me for that. I do, but it's one I just can't quite get it done.
Wow, to me it sounds very much like what were they called? The People's Party, the Creed brothers, who ran for governor, and I think they've managed to walk away with something such as around 25% of the vote. So in my mind, socialism doesn't sound very popular in the states. So I don't think there'll be too many people who are upset to hear that the unions won't be coming around in force. Personally, I'm
I
rather pleased to
still
hear that.
I still think it's a good idea. I just don't think I can. I'm the guy to pull it up. I'm afraid.
Mm,
I know where my limits are, and it's
yeah.
not something I could potentially do.
Maybe a future state rep, or maybe if you get another term, as they say.
Possibly.
Yeah. Another one, which obviously you've mentioned a few controversial points, sort of something that a lot of people mention when they run for governor, for state rep, and a lot of time just simply on UTA. Increasing public trust in places like law enforcement officers of any ilk, DOJ and DOCL. In your interview, or in your joint interview with Shout News, you mentioned the Politpolls, where the three departments are generally always quite low on the sort of public sort of trust and satisfaction ratings. You mentioned you were going to try and talk to sort of department heads if you were elected to try and increase that support for those groups. How's that going?
Well, it's slowly risen. If you see it like from when we came in to when it came to now, the last political.
Hmm.
We still had the next one coming in, but when we if we look at the one on the 28th of September, it was 36.5, and now we're looking at 39.1, which
Nah, he's got his numbers.
doesn't seem like a giant giant raise, but it's getting there. What I think is what I think the best thing to do when we speak to LEO is that we got to talk to them and be like, hey, these things that you are doing that are good, you should keep doing them.
Mm.
Not everybody responds to negative feedback. I understand it's a government agency, and if you give them negative feedback, that's part of it. We're paying for it, in the end, so they should be able to take that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the numbers right now, you look at how many people are satisfied with PD, whether it's satisfied or very satisfied, and people who are very unsatisfied and unsatisfied, people are more satisfied than not. And it's just it's mostly just the biggest one is neutral, which I think is better than it's been for a long time. One of the things that I thought they did really well was some officers would just announce times that they're going to be at the front desk and say, "Hey, this is why we're here. Come if you need like a weapons license or you need your FOIA request or anything. We're going to
Yeah.
be here for the next an hour, half an hour." Small stuff like that. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's good. People, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool thing that they're doing. That's good." Because I sometimes have had to wait like hours to get my licenses.
Yeah, I think we've all been in that situation. But it
But these
sounds good that they seem to be taking a page out of the Rangers book. I know a lot of the Rangers, when they're up at the sort of welcome centre or the sort of Ranger HQ, will put out a sort of statewide message saying, "Hey, we're here for the next couple of hours. If you want a skipper's license, hunting license, etc., come and see us. We're here ready to get those sorted for you." So it's nice to see that the sort of
I
departments are
ironically
sharing info and following best practice.
we're talking about that. Ironically, they have dropped 20% since in a month.
What, the Rangers?
Yeah, they've
Mm,
dropped it's positive satisfaction. So I mean, maybe people are a bit more neutral on them. It doesn't mean they're
yeah.
doing bad. It just means less people have a positive. They've gone from 81 to 67, so not
Mm.
quite 20%, but
Maybe
what,
it's
like
the gap
16.
in between the pumpkin patch sort of events that are very popular. There's a bit of a lull in
Maybe that's what it
between.
is. Yeah, maybe we'll see a
Yeah,
raise
and
when it
and that
comes to
yeah,
like
exactly.
trees.
Now that the Christmas tree stuff's back, maybe that'll pick up again. Maybe people miss that when that sort of activities are gone. Um,
I personally
mhm.
feel that when it comes to LEO, it's going to be a hard one. It's always going to be a hard one to do because they are kind of like the law enforcement of the state. They are kind
Yeah,
of the state use them to enforce the laws, and sometimes a lot of people, especially grown adults, I don't like it when people tell me off. So I'm definitely not gonna like it when the state does it.
yeah.
Very easy. It's very easy to do. I do think they do a good job. I do think that, but I also do think there are officers. I won't name them in your interview, just
Mm.
out of respect. Who probably shouldn't be working there.
Yeah, okay. You weren't lying when you said you'd throw some controversial ones in there. Jeez. Um,
Yeah.
moving on from that point. Obviously, again, you sort of had roughly half your term at this stage. What's been sort of, if you had to single one thing out, what's been your highlight of being a state rep so far?
Writing and having my first bill signed into law.
Yeah, which one was
Uh,
that?
that would be the Workers' Pay Act.
Mm,
That was my bill. That was written by me. I had some help, obviously, in there. Uh, I was very surprised. I surprised a lot of people by the fact that the right to work, or what is it, the at will employment, was never actually written down anywhere. It's just been something that we've all been doing. But yeah, that's now law. At will
yeah,
employment is now law. But it also means that it protects, which it does seem contradictory to what I've been saying, but it does
yeah,
actually help people who have been paid. It's only right that people who have worked at a business should get whatever paycheck they're left within 2 weeks. That people need that. That could be their housing taxes. You know what I mean?
yeah, of
That
course.
they need to pay. So that was just written to law that you do have 2 weeks to pay them, and if not, then you will. They can take that to court, and they can say that you broke the law, and it can be
Yeah,
that's essentially what it is. It's a civil court ruling, a civil
mm,
court law, rather than like a punishment you get fined or whatever.
yeah. I mean,
So
that
it just makes
as
it good.
as a fellow business owner, I mean that sounds fair enough. As you say, you
Yeah.
get paid, days labor for days pay, sort of situation. Um,
So for me, for instance, I pay tips out and I pay whatever I do for like manual labor every week.
mm,
So it'd be fine for me. I think if your business revolves around not being able to pay people for 2 weeks and that's going to kill your business,
yeah,
I think you need to have a proper look at your business plan and realize why you can't pay people a month. And I think you
yeah,
need to redo it. It's just not fair that people have to
yeah.
wait that long for the cash.
Well, it sounds like that's a sort of business cash flow problem to me. Um,
It does seem that way, yeah.
yeah, to sort of attack the question from a different angle. What's been the sort of lowest point of being state rep so far?
What honestly, it's kind of the same answer, but it's the bit before when it was signed. I don't want to say too much, but it did.
Mm,
Waiting for the governor to say it, going for me and tell me that like, yeah, I'm gonna have a proper read for it now and see if and sign it, and
mm,
or I'm gonna have a proper read for it, talk with my team about signing it.
yeah. So
And I
more,
was like,
more
oh,
so the bureaucracy side, then I guess it would be fair to say.
yeah, it's just waiting for him to make a decision. I wonder if he's gonna, because I think it was signed unanimously, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. So just waiting for him to like see if they're gonna go through it was kind of like, oof, what's he gonna do? Like,
yeah. The uncertainty, is he going to accept it? Is he
yeah,
going to deny it?
exactly. That's where I'm
Mm,
kind of like something that I wasn't. I would say I'm not too happy with, but like I understand there's a process and it has to be there.
yeah.
I was just like, oh, but
Governor
like
oversight, as they call it, etc.
also Kieran Graveshaw having passing away was a pretty
Yeah.
horrible point. Like I was we were speaking to him. We spoke to him the day off. He
Mm,
showed up to his meeting. He voted on stuff, and he said I had to go to hospital, and that was genuinely the last time I saw him, and that was a
Jesus.
pretty big low light.
Yeah. No, of course. It's it's a shame. It seems that every Congress, from the 11th, probably all the way back to the first, to be fair, or however that's, before my time. I think it's safe to say every Congress has been sort of, has faced its troubles, be it, governors being arrested or, members of Congress passing away or controversies or scandals.
Yeah, well,
It's just a shame that this time round it was, one of the state reps passing away. Um,
yeah, it was awful. Really, it's just yeah. I
yeah,
would say James
there's,
Hill has done a great
mm,
job, but as if in an ideal world, we wouldn't have to vote James Hill in. Kieran Graveshaw will still be here with us.
Yeah, no, of course. And just a final question, sort of, if so, obviously all the state reps have sort of government offices, don't they? Sort of some of you share, I believe, or something similar.
I don't. I'm probably the one who doesn't have one because I think they
Ah,
all there's four and there's five of us.
okay,
Um, I I believe they all took him before I came in, but
okay,
it didn't upset me too much. I literally work around the corner, so worst comes
yeah.
to worst, I can come in.
No, no, of course. Well, in a hypothetical world, then,
Hypothetical.
should you have a state rep office, if money wasn't an object, what would one upgrade or one sort of customization to your office be?
um,
Money's not an issue.
oh, you know what? A slushing machine.
Oh yeah, something relatively simple,
Yeah,
not a sort of.
something relatively.
Mm,
It has to be like a golden desk or something silly like that. Maybe a pool table, something just to yeah, maybe a pool table or
mm,
like a dartboard, something just to have, just when people come in, just to relax. Sometimes I find playing, we're all having a serious conversation. Sometimes talking it over like a game of like pool or a game of darts can be the
mm.
something that can, help everybody out.
Yeah, okay, pretty interesting idea. So, as you
Yeah,
say, certainly not as extravagant as a solid gold office desk or a sort of home cinema built
no, it's a
into the
relaxing thing,
office.
something to help relax when we're talking. Like maybe get them off guard a little bit.
Mm,
I read a story about Churchill where he would put like wires in his cigars so they wouldn't fall off. I'd make them. It'd make it. They would be. They'd be staring at his cigar, wondering, "Oh, okay, when's the ash gonna fall? When's the ash gonna fall?"
mm.
And it would never fall, obviously, because he's set it up that way, and it distracts him a little bit, at least.
Ah, a bit of psychological tactics there. Very interesting.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
psychological warfare from a wartime prime minister.
yeah.
Jesus. Well, it's been wonderful to have you join us this evening, Damien. Thank you for coming along.
I thank you for hosting me.
Not a problem. Take care, and we'll see you all again soon.